Hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here with me virtually today, and we're going to explore some ways that we can offer ourselves grace and self-acceptance in really difficult times. I'm a women's wellness educator, and that means that I guide women through exploring ways to care deeply for themselves so that they can care deeply for and impact others as well. And today I will be your guide through this simple and short practice, something that you can use anytime that you're going through maybe more difficult times. I'd like to use the analogy of biking. My family has been biking a lot in the past weeks since we've been staying at home during the coronavirus pandemic. And I've gotten used to, again, using gears on bikes. And we live in Seattle, so there's lots of flat places, but there's also plenty of hills to navigate as well. And so a lot of times in life, we are going along, we're in a higher gear, and all of that effort that we're putting into pushing those pedals is just speeding us forward. We can go along those mostly flat places. Maybe there's a few bumps here and there. Sometimes it's even downhill and we just are coasting, and we're covering a lot of ground. And then something really disruptive might happen to us. Maybe it's an external circumstance, or maybe it's something just internal that we come across, and the going starts to get tough. We start going uphill. We come across a hill. And to be able to go uphill, you have to shift down into lower gears. And when you do that, that means that the number of times that you're pedaling and your feet are going round and round is making your wheels turn but slower. And so you're not getting nearly as far as you would have if the surface was flat. But I think it's really important for us to recognize that when we're shifted down to that low gear, we're going up a hill, we may not be gaining a lot of mileage, but we're gaining elevation. So this practice is something when you're doing your best to bike up a hill, and maybe you've even gotten to a point where you feel like you need to get off and walk. You can use this practice to help acknowledge what's going on, acknowledge how you're feeling about it, and extend love, acceptance, grace to yourself in the midst of that situation. So I thought it's perfect for our time right now during this pandemic, when pretty much the entire world, or many, many, many of us in the world, are experiencing quite a bit of disruption and some pretty big hills. So I'm so glad you're joining me. And I just want to explain to you the way that this practice will work today. The first step that we're going to do, I do this in all of my practices, is to just pause for a moment of self-awareness. So we'll have just a short moment to check in with our bodies and our thoughts and our emotions, see what those are today. Just notice in this moment. After that, we'll move on to a limbic calming practice. So you may or may not be familiar with the limbic system, but when we are feeling particularly stressed out, or just having a lot of generalized stress, doing some limbic calming techniques, which are different things that are targeted at our limbic system to help our limbic system, so our biochemistry, our physiology, to become calm first before moving into dealing with our thoughts, can be really powerful. It's much easier to deal with what we're thinking about and to work through maybe the beliefs or thought patterns that we have when our bodies have come back to some kind of a calmer state. So we'll do, in this case, we're going to do just 5 simple breaths together before we move into the next part, which will be delving into more of our thoughts and beliefs, and working through those and writing some statements about giving ourselves love and acceptance. When we're done with that, we will return to a different limbic calming practice just to give ourselves a little extra calm today, a little extra care. And then finally, we'll close with another check-in with ourselves, how we're feeling in our bodies and in our thoughts and in our emotions. So I just wanted to give you a little roadmap so you know what to expect. And we'll go ahead and begin. You can take a moment to get comfortable wherever you are. Straighten your spine. Take a deep breath in and out. And just check in with yourself. Notice where you are today. What does your body feel like? Are there places that feel tense, tight? Are there places that are hurting? Maybe some parts of your body feel calm and comfortable. Maybe some feel light and buoyant. Take a moment, check in. Now bring your attention to your thoughts. How are those going today? Do you feel maybe scattered, or maybe a bit of a whirlwind? Maybe you feel focused and calm in your thoughts. Maybe they're sort of dull and having a hard time gaining energy. How are your thoughts? Finally, check in with your emotions. What are you bringing today with your emotions? Maybe you have some uncomfortable, distressing emotions. Maybe there's also mixed in there, as there often is, some bright, happy, buoyant ones. Maybe lots of in-betweens. What are you feeling today? Now that you've taken a moment to notice what's going on in your body, we're going to do our limbic calming together. And this time we'll do a breathing exercise called the long exhale. This is so simple. All you're doing is making your inhale shorter than your exhale. Of course, we're going to think about breathing deep into our bellies and lengthening the breath. So we'll breathe in for 4 and out for 8, and I'll count for us. Here we go. We'll breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, and out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, and out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4, out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4, out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4, out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can let your breath return to its normal pattern now. And we're going to begin the process of thinking about, or sort of looking at our thoughts. So if you have a moment and want to grab a pen and paper, we're just going to be jotting a couple things down if you can. If not, you can say them out loud or think them intentionally in your head. But now is a good time to pause if you need the pen and paper. All right. As we start this process of being able to extend grace and kindness to ourselves, I want you to begin by simply acknowledging what exists right now for you. What is really hard? in what ways do you feel like you are pedaling uphill? Or maybe in what ways do you feel like you need to get off that bike and just walk it? Or maybe even pause by the side of the road for a little bit. In this time of disruption, this questioning is about acknowledging that we cannot do it all. We can't be everything that we were before. We can't do everything that we feel like we may need to do. So we're going to have to set some things aside for the moment. We'll have to sometimes set things aside forever. And there's going to be plenty of things that we just might not be able to do as well or as thoroughly as we would like to, or maybe as we can when we're going on those flat surfaces and can cruise along. So just take another few moments here to write down just maybe 1 to 3 things that pop into your mind that have changed and that are different in this time. All right, you can always go and do this more thoroughly or just in a different time of, in another few days, you might feel really differently. Things might have changed again. You can always do this again later. But right now, we're going to move on to dealing with acknowledging our feelings about it. So the second question is, how do you feel? How does all of that make you feel? The fact that you absolutely cannot do it all. There's probably more being asked of you than what you're able to do right now, or there could be. How does it make you feel? I know personally I've felt some deep disappointment about some of the things that I've had to put on hold. Maybe you feel anxiety, maybe some fear, grief. Just jot down a few of those emotions. You can say them out loud if you don't have pen and paper. All right. So now that we've acknowledged our circumstances and then our feelings that are going on right now, we're going to bring in a statement of acceptance, particularly a statement of self-acceptance. So you're going to say, even though blank. So blank is going to be those things that you said in that first question. So even though I can't be as present to my kids as I'd like to be right now, or even though I've had to put some of my projects on hold, any of those sort of things, even though blank, I completely love and accept myself. So if I said, even though I can't be with my kids, be as present with my kids as I'd like to right now, I completely love and accept myself. Or maybe I would say, even though I've had to put my business project on hold, I completely love and accept myself. So you can go ahead and write out that statement. Even though blank, I completely love and accept myself. And I want to add a little caveat here. I know sometimes when we go through difficult things, they can dig up some really deep, maybe false beliefs that we have, or just ways that are unhelpful that we think. And so when we say, even though this is happening, I completely love and accept myself, sometimes that feels really fake. Sometimes it feels like we can't really truly 100% say that to ourselves. And I want to make sure that if you're feeling that we honor that. It's really important to be able to honor where we are in that process right now. I think it doesn't mean that we can't still use these statements, but we need to make a bridge. We need to build a bridge from where we are to where we would like to be. And so if you want to be able to love and accept yourself completely, even in the midst of these difficult circumstances or in these difficult feelings, then we can add another phrase to the statement, and we can say, same thing as we started with, even though blank, even though whatever it is that's happening, whatever you've had to do, so that's the same. And then you can add, and even though it doesn't feel true for me yet, I love and accept myself. Perhaps it would feel a little bit better for you to say, for that last part, I'm beginning to love and accept myself. You can play around with those words, whatever really starts to ring true for you, whatever words you need to use to make that really a reflection of that truth in you. So if you need to modify it, because we all do at some point, you can say, even though blank, and even though it doesn't feel true for me yet, I'm beginning to completely love and accept myself. So you can, I think we've had some time for that, so we'll go ahead and move on to the second statement, and we're going to take those feelings that you jotted down earlier or thought about and put those in this statement as well. So even though I feel really discouraged right now, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel blank, fill in the blank for you, I completely love and accept myself. You can go ahead and write that down or say it out loud. And again, if you are feeling like, I'm just not quite there, then just modify it. Add in that extra phrase. Even though I'm feeling blank, and even though it doesn't feel true to me quite yet, I'm beginning to love and accept myself. Maybe even though I feel deep disappointment, and it doesn't feel true to me quite yet, I'm beginning to love and accept myself. So whatever feelings you want to work through, you can jot those down as well. I want to end this portion by saying why I think this is so important. And truly, I believe that once we begin to heal these relationships with ourselves, once we are able to, in the midst of our mistakes or in the midst of things that feel like failures or in the midst of negative circumstances or really uncomfortable feelings, when we're able to purposefully and intentionally wrap ourselves in unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, then we start to be able to do that for other people as well. And you don't have to get it perfect with yourself to be able to do it at all for other people. But as we continue to grow and we continue to do that for ourselves, then we're more and more and more able to bring that love and kindness and acceptance that isn't going to change based on if someone made a mistake or not, to all the people around us. And when we can do that, it truly does make a huge difference in our world. And boy, do we need that right now in this time of the coronavirus pandemic. And hasn't it been amazing to see the love and kindness that has come up in all the people who are helping. So on that note, we're going to end this by doing another limbic calming exercise. This one I like to call the head hug. You're going to take one palm of your hand and place it on your forehead lightly, and then take the other palm and place it on the back of your neck just below the nape. So just on that sort of sloping part of your head. And we're just going to breathe deeply as you put just super light pressure, whatever feels good right now. This helps to just calm our whole physiology down. So let's take a few deep breaths together as we do this. All right. And finally, we'll close with a check-in. Again, the same questions we asked at the beginning. How's your body feeling right now? How are your thoughts? And what's in your emotions? What are you carrying? Just take a minute to check in with yourself. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you lots of health and connection and wellness in these next days and weeks and months. Lots of love to you today. Take very, very good care.